and welcome to the JP8 report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report coming to you on a bright and shiny day here in Central Texas. We have a few things we want to talk about today. Before we get started, just want to remind you that this podcast is being broadcast on YouTube and Rumble and Podbean and on Facebook. So if you're listening to me at this point in time, please do me a favor and like and subscribe and share out the episode so your friends can actually listen to what I have to say, and if they like it, share it out also. Okay, so today's episode is episode 1717. It's I call this in case of emergency break glass, because there's things going on in the last few days, last several weeks. That's ongoing matter of importance to our country and region. Right now, it's been a few days since the passage of that COVID bill, and all of a sudden, people are still talking about the filibuster and their intent to actually get it overturned. And Mitch McConnell, I don't have my me and him aren't exactly. I like him a lot. I think it's time for him to retire, but this guy knows his Constitution. He knows his policies and procedures, and um, what he said about the filibuster the other day is true. The filibuster it was put into the Constitution. Well, it was put into the rules of the Senate, because the Senate is supposed to be the deliberative body of Congress. You're supposed to think things out, and not just on a simple majority. Because when you have just a simple majority, the majority, you always heard it growing up, the majority rules, and that is the case. But in government, you can have the tyranny of the majority, where you get a slight 51% majority in each house, and of the the regular leadership by the presidency, and you can do anything you want to our country, and it'll affect our country for multiple generations, if not forever. Um, so he's right, and that's one thing we should always consider is, the minority party has rights too, and they need to be brought into the equation of what's being discussed. And bipartisanship, you can say what you want, but we're a country of 330 million people, and 330 million people have representation, and we should be able to listen to each other, and that goes for all of us Republicans and all the Democrats and all the socialists out there that that uh, that have ideas about how the country should be ran. Um, but you know, in the House with Speaker Pelosi, Kevin McCarthy put out several weeks ago that uh, the Democrats and the Speaker, they changed the rules in the House. It won't even allow um, the minority party the right to reconsider, um, eliminating the minority party of almost every single speaking right and submission right there is in the House of Representatives. And now you got people in the Senate, and then people in the House that were trying to tell the Senate what to do, uh, to relinquish the the stature of the filibuster. You have two Democratic senators that are saving that from happening right now, and that's Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Senator Krista Sinema in Arizona. Both of them are Democrats. They're moderate Democrats. Um, I would even venture to, like, hey, have you ever thought about being Republicans? And that happens. Uh, I know of two Republicans that used to be Democrats that are, one was in the Senate, one's about to retire from the Senate. That was Phil Gramm in Texas and Richard Shelby in Alabama. But they all converted, and that's how it is. That happens. But both of them senators both said that they would never vote to relinquish the filibuster because they know how important it is. You know, say what they want, but the Democrats one day they may think they got a permanent majority. They don't, and I would even venture to say in less than 2 years when we have our midterm elections that the Democrats will not be in control of the House or the Senate. And even in the Senate, if they somehow got their way and D.C. became a state, they would still lose the Senate. So play the games if they want. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. They can play. They're going. It's how does the saying go? I forgot what it was. Okay, we'll go on to other things. So the filibuster needs to say, and Mitch McConnell, the way he ventured this was in the Senate. Everything is done for a reason. You can't turn the lights on in the Senate. You can't start debate in the Senate. You can't do anything without a vote. Okay. Most of the stuff they do in the Senate is by unanimous consent, where they'll have the designated person in charge of the Senate because the majority leader can designate anyone who wants to fill a seat, okay, as president of the Senate. So when they come into work in the morning, they have to have a vote to turn the lights on. They have to have a vote to turn the mics on. They got to, and you see where we're going on this, okay? So with unanimous consent, the person that's filling the chair of the president of the Senate says, do we have a motion on the floor? Turn the lights on. We'll go with that one, okay? So by unanimous consent, are we turning the lights on? One person votes and says, okay, the lights are all on. Now, if the filibuster's gone, you will need all 100 senators in the Senate all the time to take a vote. Okay? Think about that. All these senators are always gone because they want to take these fact-finding missions all over the place. Now they're going to need their actual votes. So right now the Democrats have 50 votes. If, say, 3 or 4 leave to go campaign somewhere or in a hospital somewhere or fact-finding mission somewhere, and they don't have enough votes to do something, they're going to lose their majority. That's exactly what will happen. Hold on just a second. A couple of things that are going on is in the House, they passed 2 bills there in the Senate. Pretty much these should be dead in the water, but you never know these days. HR 8, HR 1446. HR 8 deals with universal background checks. They want to take all the loopholes away. So everyone requires a background check if you're going to give a weapon to your daughter for her birthday and it's already in your possession. You end up having to go to someone with the FFL and do a background check just so they can get your weapon. Okay, and then HR 1446 is to increase the 3-day background check to a minimum of 10 days, a maximum 30 days, plus extended amount of period, which now you can want this beautiful Smith & Wesson 40 caliber handgun, and it's like, oh wow, this is cool, and you go do the paperwork for it, and they say come back in 2 weeks before you can pick it up. And it's like, come on. Where are they going to stop? What's next? Dianne Feinstein put a bill together about another weapons ban. When they want to try to ban anything that has a magazine on it or can carry more than 10 rounds. whether it be a pistol, a rifle, or a shotgun. They are intent to surpassing our Second Amendment rights, and so it should be found unconstitutional whether they do any of this. They can, and they're going to try. They're going to try. We just got to stand our ground and make sure that we do what we need to do to keep that from happening. And how you do that is you vote. You have to get out there and vote. You have to get your friends to vote. You got to vote Republican. You don't need to be voting for a third party. You don't need to be voting for write-in people. Vote Republican. Okay, vote, vote, vote. You need to make sure if you're a Republican and you see another Republican on there and you don't like, and you can do better, submit a primary challenge. That's your right. Okay. The days are over with where you can just sit back and say, well, I don't have the time to do it. You need to make time. I made time as a city councilman a few years ago. I make time as a college trustee these days. You have to make time and to support your community and do your civic right. You can't just let the same old people do the same old thing and disappoint you all the time. And then you get on Facebook and become a keyboard warrior and voice all your discontent. Well, those days are over with. You need to stand up. You got to make a point. You got to get out there and get elected. If you can do better, which a lot of us can, you need to get out there. Okay, and it's too easy. Okay, don't play the game where, well, if you want to be involved in the local community, let's be an election judge first, or be a precinct captain. If you want to be election judge, be an election judge. If you want to be a precinct captain, be a precinct captain. If you want to be a member of a young Republican, be a member of a young Republican. If you want to run as a county judge or a county commissioner or a city councilman or a college trustee or a U.S. congressman, and you feel like you want to do that, it is your right to put forth that paperwork in the filing period and run for that office. Do not let anyone talk you out of it. Okay. Next is we are presently $30 trillion in debt. That's a lot of zeros. It's 3 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 and another zero. Okay, that means our great grandkids will probably be paying interest and a little bit of principal, so their great grandkids probably stuck with this. Okay, wrong. That's a wrong problem because all this debt is just going to cause inflation, regardless of what the Federal Reserve does with their plans to eliminate inflation. If they keep printing money, that's nobody hardly prints money anymore. But everything's done on credit. All it's going to do is increase inflation and keep interest rates low, and everything's going to get more expensive. And then people are going to close down their businesses because they can't afford to make anything work. And then the federal government is not going to take in enough in taxes. They're going to attempt to raise taxes. Then they're going to default on their payments, which is one thing we don't need. Inside that $1.9 trillion COVID bill that we just went through with zero Republican support. The other four was all bipartisan. This one is completely Democratic. Okay. It's completely Democratic and undemocrat. I was telling you about the tyranny majority. No Republicans. They didn't think this through. One of the weirdest things that, you know how Pelosi several years ago, we got to pass a bill to find out what's in the bill. Well, same thing happened here. No sooner than the bill was ink dried from the president's signature, they found out all this money is going to these states and local governments. And I hope someone's listening from my hometown that I live in. if you accept assistance dollars from the federal government through this COVID bill, like Texas is supposed to receive $16 billion. In return, you have to agree not to lower your state or local taxes for a period of 3 years. That's the local government getting involved. I mean, that's the federal government getting involved in local governmental matters. Who are they to tell us that we can't give money back to our residents? If we're running a surplus, lower our tax rates. Okay, I can see where they're coming from on where they don't want to just waste all that money. All those tax dollars are supposed to be given to state and local governments, or supposed to pay off the COVID bills. So if you've been reading your stuff from your state, a lot of states are local municipalities, their sales tax revenue's been going through the roof. Just because most of us were stuck at home and social distancing and not doing nothing out, and people were still ordering groceries, ordering stuff through that Jeff Bezos company, and everything charges sales tax. Ordering pizzas and just kept ordering, and they were paying their sales tax. So we and our local communities get that money in return. So if we're making a surplus on those matters and regular budgetary matters, why can't we lower our taxes and use that other money to pay off our COVID bills? It's just a governmental overreach. So my suggestion to the state of Texas is say, just like Nancy Reagan's old phrase, just say no. Just give it back to them. Say, we don't want your extortion payment. We're good with the way we are. Okay? Give it to New York and California, because they'll never lower their taxes. Those people just need to take over their states. Get rid of that leadership. It just goes to show the progressives are always in charge, and they're just gonna keep putting their hands around the necks of the local citizens and say, we don't care what you say, we don't care what you do. You just kowtow to us and be obedient to us, and then we'll take care of you. Okay, it's all about the federal government getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they have complete control. First, they take your weapons from you, then they take your speech away from you, then they take your right to petition away from you, and then sooner or later, you don't have no rights. You pay lots in taxes. You can't say nothing about it. They'll just use your social media comrades out there to shame you. And the keyboard warriors get you woke, and all of a sudden, you're all by yourself, and you're still paying taxes. Okay. The only way you're going to get around it. Okay. Well, I got one other thing. Is why is it? Anytime you see the POTUS signing something, you see Kamala Harris right beside him, always to his right or to his left and back behind him, looking at him. Is she in charge or is he in charge? Because I understand, like with the Senate being 50-50, she's got to be ready to go there for a vote. But she is there all the time. If you just take a look at a lot of news clippings and stuff, and you'll see the VP right there, right beside the president, all except for yesterday when he fell down the stairs on Air Force One, and she wasn't there. And why didn't anyone rush up the stairs to try to catch him? I don't even want to venture that guess, but I did. I know a lot of people saw His 3 times he stumbled on the stairs of Air Force One. It wasn't funny, regardless of your political belief. I know most of us tripped going upstairs before, but when you're 78 years old and you miss a step, then you miss another step, and then you miss another step and you weeble. Someone should have been flying up those stairs to catch him. Okay, he's still the president. That's my serious note. Well, all of this is serious, but you know, you have to vote. You have to vote. You have to vote. And 2022 is coming up really soon, and we got to be ready. Here in Texas, that's when all of our statewide races are running again. So it'll be a lot of Republicans running. We're doing some really good stuff down in Austin right now. They're shoring up our election system to make sure this travesty of 2020 doesn't happen again, with all the ballot drop-off places and mail-in ballots and stuff. And at the end of May, we're going to see a lot of bills being signed that's going to protect our state. But you got to speak up. You got to, a lot of people get behind those keyboards nowadays and do what they want. But you know what? You have to get out there and talk to people. You have to run for office, and you have to vote. Okay? We're in a very precarious situation in our country these days, and we just got to get out there and be proactive, or we won't have a country to recognize in 4 years, or 2 years, or even 6 years, because their intent to changing the fabric of our society to where we won't recognize it. And the Democrats will be in charge for decades to come. They'll be just like the Mexican government was when they had the revolution, and I believe it was 1910, when the IPR came to power, and they stayed in power until the 1990s. So this is my 17th episode. In case of emergency, break glass. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, I'm on Facebook and YouTube and Parler. My Parler address is James Pierce JP8. Look for me there, or look for me on Facebook, or you can even email me at jp8report@gmail.com. So I hope everybody has a great day, and look for my next broadcast.